It's the one who isn't loved that's the third wheel. My wife's first love sent me a photo of her in a hotel, wrapped in a bathrobe after a shower, and even blocked me arrogantly. And my wife, with her arm linked in his, looked at me with disdain and told me to fuck off to the kitchen to cook and serve them. Before this, I was her personal driver and full-time butler. Even when my father-in-law trampled me like a dog, I took it willingly. But today, looking at those two hypocritical faces, I just smiled. Don't you have your own hands? Who the hell do you think I am to serve you? I've held back this punch for 5 years. Today, I'm giving it all back to you. The divorce papers are ready. Jiang. This time, I'm the one dumping you. My name is Ziheng. Just 10 minutes ago, I was a complete joke. At midnight in the cold hospital corridor, I stared at my phone screen, my fingertips white from the pressure. On the screen was the last message from my wife Jiang, sent 5 hours ago. Honey, Chung Hao's my close male friend, he's sick, and I have to take care of him. I might not come back tonight. Don't wait up. Huh, a guy friend, what a high-sounding excuse. Today is our 5th wedding anniversary. For this day, I booked the hardest-to-get restaurant in the city a month in advance. I invited all our family and friends. And what happened? A group of people sat around for 2 hours, food went cold, wine went flat, and she never showed. I called countless times, no answer, every single time. It wasn't until after everyone left, until my friends walked away with pity in their eyes, until I stood like an idiot at the empty private room door, that she sent me this message. This is the 4th time this month. First time, Chung Hao had a business problem, so she went to help explain. Second time, Chung Hao got into a fight after a breakup and ended up at the police station. She went to bail him out. Third time, Chung Hao lost a game of truth or dare and had to do the cross-arm drink to marry. She went. Every time, it's Chung Hao. Every time I've swallowed it. I thought if I was tolerant enough, humble enough, I could warm this heart. After all, to marry her, I fell out with my family and cut off all financial support. I went from a pampered young master of a wealthy family to a laughingstock, a kept husband everyone ridicules. Being her chauffeur, cooking for her, even enduring the daily sarcastic remarks from her snobbish father-in-law, I thought it was worth it. As long as she was happy, I could sacrifice anything. But now, staring at that message, I felt a wave of nausea churning in my stomach. With trembling hands, I dialed Chung Hao's number. I wanted to ask where Jiangwan was to confirm she was safe. The phone rang for a long time before it was answered. On the other end came the sound of splashing water and a man's lazy, flippant voice. Hello, Ziheng. Wanner's in the shower right now. My blood ran cold. Let her talk to me, I said, my voice hoarse. Chung Hao chuckled lightly, the sound stabbing into my eardrums like needles. Not convenient. Oh, and Wanner said she's staying over at my place tonight, so don't worry. Oh, and by the way, the one not loved is the third. Will you get that, right? Beep, beep, beep. The line went dead. Right after, I received a friend request on Feishin. After I accepted, 3 photos were sent over. The first photo, Jiangwan's eyes were hazy with drunkenness, holding a gaze of attachment I had never seen before, the look of a lover. The second photo, she was draped in a sheer hotel bathrobe, holding a wine glass, with dim, ambiguous lighting in the background. The third photo, she lay on the bed, eyes tightly shut. Though covered by a blanket, there was a glaring, ambiguous red mark on her bare shoulder. At that moment, my world crumbled. That my heart felt like it was being twisted by a knife. No, it was suffocation. I wanted to reply, to confront, to roar. But the next second, the chat showed that the other party had recalled the message. When I sent another message, the red exclamation mark stung my eyes that I had been blocked. I walked out of the hospital like a zombie. That IT was pouring rain outside, and I didn't call a cab. I just let the rain soak me. Step by step, I walked back to that so-called home. The rainwater ran into my mouth, salty and bitter enough to make me sick. I stood on the balcony and lit a cigarette, eyeing the swirling smoke. The past 5 years flashed before my eyes like a revolving lantern. The sweetness was real, the sacrifices were real, but the humiliation I feel now is even more real. Ziheng, when did you become so humble, so pitiful? I asked myself. Where did your former pride go? Where did your self-respect go? For a woman who doesn't love me, what have I turned myself into? No, this isn't me, that I shouldn't be like this. In the darkness, a pair of eyes gradually lit up, a glimmer of dying embers rekindled. I stubbed out the cigarette, turned around, and walked into the bathroom. The hot water washed over my body, washing away the last trace of weakness. 10 minutes later, I changed into clean clothes and sat on the living room sofa. I picked up the phone that had been gathering dust for 5 years and dialed that number. It was my mother, the queen of the financial world, the woman I had betrayed for love. The call connected. After a long silence, I spoke, my voice hoarse but firm. "Mom, I was wrong." Still silence on the other end. 2 minutes later, my mother's voice came through, gentle yet authoritative. "If you want to cry, go ahead. Mom won't laugh at you." At that moment, I couldn't hold it together anymore. Did I cover my face and burst into loud sobs? Crying for the grievances of these 5 years, crying for my own stupidity, crying for this absurd marriage. My mother listened quietly until my sobs gradually subsided. "Ziheng, I've known everything about you these 5 years. I don't sympathize with you because you brought this upon yourself. But you are my son. I don't want you to be a coward who gets bullied but dares not fight back. I'll give you 1 year. I have a branch company in Yunqing that has been secretly supporting the Jiang family. Now, I want you to recoup all the previous losses, principal and interest, including the grievances you've suffered. Make Jiang Wan and the Jiang family pay the price. If you can do it, I'll still acknowledge you as my son. If not, don't contact me again." After hanging up, my heart felt calm instead. Outside the window, dawn had broken. The night was over, and morning would eventually come. That humble Li Ziheng died last night. Standing here today is the future heir of Yunhai Group. At 7:20 in the morning, the sound of the door lock turning echoed. Jiang Wan was back. She was helped in by Cheng Hao, both of them disheveled with slightly damp hair, reeking of hangover and an indescribable smell. Jiang Wan rubbed her temples, looking exhausted, completely unaware of me, sitting in the shadows of the sofa. But Cheng Hao spotted me at once. He paused for a moment, then let go of his hand around Jiang Wan's waist, a provocative smirk tugging at his lips. He leaned in and whispered something in Jiang Wan's ear. Jiang Wan looked up, her cold, aloof gaze landing on me. No guilt, no apology, only a matter-of-fact indifference. "You're up so early," she frowned, as if my presence disturbed her peace. "I have a headache. Make me some hangover soup," her tone commanding, as if she were ordering a servant. Cheng Hao pretended to straighten his clothes. "Wanner, you should rest. I'll be going now." He said he was leaving, but his feet seemed rooted to the spot. Jiang Wan reached out and grabbed his wrist, the gesture intimate and natural. "You drink quite a bit too. Have some soup before you go." Cheng Hao glanced at me with feigned awkwardness. "This doesn't seem right that your husband doesn't seem to be in a good mood, and I'm afraid he might misunderstand." This remark was full of that green tea vibe. He was testing my limits while enjoying the thrill of an illicit affair. Jiang Wan turned to look at me, her brow furrowing even more, her tone harsh. "Li Ziheng, are you deaf? I told you to make the soup. Can't you hear me?" The old me would have immediately stood up and carefully asked her if she wanted honey added. But today I just quietly watched them, watching this adulterous pair perform their two-man act right in front of me. I felt nothing but absurdity and a desire to laugh. I slowly stood up, picked up the cigarette pack from the table, took one out, lit it, took a deep drag, and blew out a smoke ring. Through the smoke, I coldly stared at Jiang Wan. "Don't you have hands yourself?" The air instantly froze. Jiang Wan was stunned. So was Cheng Hao. They probably never expected that the docile sheep would suddenly show its fangs. Jiang Wan's eyes widened in disbelief. "What did you say?" I took another drag of my cigarette, my gaze as cold as a blade, that I said, "Don't you have your own hands? Have me make you hangover soup? Who do you think you are? You're not worthy." The long-suppressed anger erupted at this moment. That MY voice suddenly rose, echoing through the living room. Cheng Hao snapped back to reality, immediately putting on a gentlemanly act, patting Jiang Wan's shoulder to comfort her. "Wanner, don't be mad. Ziheng is just worried about you. That's why he spoke a bit harshly. Couples need to communicate more. Besides," he turned his head, looking down at me with an air of superiority, speaking earnestly. "You're Ziheng, right? I don't know what's gotten into you today, but no matter what, you shouldn't disrespect Wanner like this. She had too much to drink last night. You should be taking good care of her, not throwing a tantrum here." His speech was righteous and lofty, as if he were the legitimate husband and I were just an unreasonable shrew. I laughed a sarcastic, contemptuous laugh. You're so considerate, so good at taking care of others. How about you take care of her for me instead? I looked Jiang up and down, my eyes devoid of love, filled only with endless disgust. After all, which man wouldn't like a married woman who's good-looking, has a hot figure, and is successful at her career? Especially a garbage like you, who specializes in picking up other people's leftovers. Cheng Hao's face changed, embarrassed and furious. Li Ziheng, watch your mouth. You can doubt me, but don't insult Wan. Do you think she would do anything to betray you? No need to explain. Jiang Wan suddenly interrupted him. She gritted her teeth, her eyes reddening as she stared at me, as if suffering a great injustice. A dirty mind sees everything as dirty. Li Ziheng, you've disappointed me so much. With that, she actually took Cheng Hao's hand right in front of you and headed toward the guest room. Your cold isn't better yet, and you didn't sleep well last night. Sleep here today, and we'll go to the company together at noon. As she spoke, Jiang Wan pushed open the door to the guest room. Cheng Hao glanced at Jiang Wan, then turned and quickly walked up to Li Ziheng. Looking down at Li Ziheng, he scolded him with intense anger in his voice. Li Ziheng, what kind of man are you? Wan is out there working hard to build her career, and you can't even help her, so you treat her like this? Without her working hard to earn money, do you think you could live such a good life? Do you know how many people are chasing after Wan outside? But she turned them all down for you. You don't even appreciate it, and on top of that, you treat her so badly. Now, I order you to apologize to Wan immediately, right this minute. At this moment, Cheng Hao was lecturing Li Ziheng as if he stood on moral high ground. Jiang Wan stood at the guest room door, watching silently. Suddenly, her eyes reddened, as if she had suffered a great grievance. Li Ziheng stood up expressionlessly. Then he clenched his fist and threw a heavy punch at Cheng Hao's face. Bang! Cheng Hao seemed not to have expected Li Ziheng to strike. He couldn't dodge the punch, his body swayed, and he nearly fell. What are you barking about? Li Ziheng flicked his wrist, his tone icy. A piece of trash who couldn't make it abroad and pretends to be an elite ruthless who gave you the courage to spout nonsense in front of me. You don't actually think I'm as easy to fool as that brainless woman, do you? You'd better keep your cheap tricks to yourself in front of me, or I won't mind throwing you into the trash. After all, trash belongs in the trash can. Chen Hao's information had been sent over right after his mother hung up the phone. Therefore, Li Ziheng knew everything about Chen Hao. A flicker of panic flashed in Chen Hao's eyes, and he didn't say another word. Without sparing Chen Hao another glance, Li Ziheng walked straight toward the door. At that moment, Jiang Wan quickly walked over and reached out to stop Li Ziheng. With reddened eyes and a complex gaze, she glared at Li Ziheng and asked through gritted teeth, "Where are you going?" Li Ziheng let out a light laugh. "You care about where I'm going? You're not allowed to leave." Jiang Wan reached out and grabbed Li Ziheng's wrist, just as she had grabbed Cheng Hao's wrist moments ago. Li Ziheng, as if disgusted, immediately shook off Jiang Wan's hand the moment she grabbed his wrist. "Not allowed to leave? Don't tell me you want me to stay and play threesome with you two? Sorry, I can't accept something that disgusting." With that, Li Ziheng walked straight out the door, leaving Jiang Wan standing there with a shocked expression. Just as he reached the elevator, he heard a loud bang behind him. It was the sound of the door slamming shut. Li Ziheng let out a self-deprecating laugh. The moment he stepped out the door, he had fantasized about Jiang Wan chasing after him without a care. But Jiang Wan didn't. With that, his hopeful heart was thoroughly dead. Leaving the residential building, Li Ziheng took deep breaths of fresh air, as if trying to expel the depression in his chest. Ring, ring, ring. At that moment, his phone suddenly rang. It was an unfamiliar number. Li Ziheng pressed the answer button and just put the phone to his ear when he heard a woman's clear and pleasant voice coming through. "Is this Mr. Li Ziheng? Who's this?" Hearing Li Ziheng's reply, the woman's voice on the other end suddenly became a bit excited. "Young Master Ziheng, I'm the president of Yunhai International Trade. The headquarters asked me to contact you to process your onboarding procedures. May I ask where you are right now, young Master Ziheng? I'll come pick you up immediately. Add me on WeChat, and I'll send you my location. My WeChat ID is the same as my phone number." "All right then, young Master Ziheng, please wait a moment." After hanging up, a friend request came through on WeChat. Li Ziheng clicked to accept, but his gaze was drawn to the other person's profile picture. This is The profile picture was a beautiful woman standing beside a Ferrari supercar. The woman was wearing a red short dress, tall and curvaceous, with long flowing hair. She was extremely beautiful and exuded a great sense of elegance. She had a smile on her face, and the sunlight streaming from the side gave a feeling of peaceful times. However, Li Ziheng wasn't attracted by her looks, he was surprised by her appearance. Anya, the famously beautiful CEO of Cloud City, was hailed as the goddess by the city's male populace due to her striking looks, aloof demeanor, and formidable work skills. She was the dream lover of every man in Cloud City. Despite countless suitors, she remained single at 26, never once involved in any scandal. This even led to whispers behind her back, suggesting her sexual orientation was different and she didn't like men. It was said even the richest man in Cloud City was pursuing her, but she bluntly dismissed him, declaring he wasn't her type. Yanhai International Trade turned out to be his mother's subsidiary. Li Ziheng was stunned for a moment, trying to digest this piece of information. After a second thought, he felt relieved. With his mother backing her, it was no wonder Anya could confidently reject the pursuit of Cloud City's richest man. After all, in the face of a financial titan like his mother, that richest man was merely an ordinary person with a bit of money. After waiting about 10 minutes, a red Ferrari sports car pulled up in front of Li Ziheng. The door opened, and Anya, dressed in a professional suit, hurried over to him. "Master Ziheng," Anya said with a sweet smile, her tone showing no distance but only closeness. It felt as if she had known Li Ziheng for a long time. This made Li Ziheng feel rather surprised. After they got into the car, on the way to Yunhai International Trade Company, Li Ziheng couldn't help voicing his doubts. "CEO An, you seem to know me." He was very direct. After asking, he turned to study Anya's profile. Anya had a very pretty face, a classic oval face, arched eyebrows, double eyelids, large bright eyes. When she looked at you, her eyes seemed to speak, full of liveliness. Ahem, Anya coughed dryly, looking as if she had something to say but hesitated. Li Ziheng said calmly, "If you have something to say, go ahead. I don't mind." Hearing this, Anya hesitated for a moment and then dropped a bombshell. "Actually, I've met Master Ziheng at least a dozen times." Chapter 3. She won't be his wife for long. When? I don't remember meeting you. Sion. Li Ziheng grew even more puzzled. Anya chuckled softly, raising her hand to tuck a strand of hair behind her ear. "Young Master Ziheng, please don't keep calling me General Manager and I'm your subordinate. Just call me Anya or Xiaoya. As for when we've met, there have been so many times I can barely keep count. But every time I saw you, the young mistress was always there. The most memorable time was when the young mistress got drunk at a banquet and was taken advantage of. You beat up that real estate tycoon." Anya's words sent Li Ziheng into a memory. It was last summer. To expand her network and connections, Jiang Wan attended a banquet. Because of her stunning looks and figure, a group of executives kept plying her with drinks under various excuses. Jiang Wan couldn't hold her liquor, well, a few glasses of red wine, and she was already drunk. Seeing the situation turn bad, her secretary called Li Ziheng. At the time, Li Ziheng was running a high fever. The reason he caught the fever was that Jiang Wan had mentioned she wanted to eat at a Riverside night market barbecue spot. Without a second thought, Li Ziheng went out, but on his way back, a sudden downpour caught him. By the time he got home, he was drenched through. Because of this, he had a high fever the next day. But even so, after receiving the secretary's call, he still forced himself to go to the party. When he arrived, Jiang Wan was already drunk, lying unconscious on the sofa in the lounge area. An ill-intentioned boss quietly approached, trying to take advantage of Jiang Wan, but Li Ziheng stopped him and punched that guy. But the result was that the other party called bodyguards who beat Li Ziheng severely, leaving him bloody. At the party that day, Li Ziheng gritted his teeth and endured the pain, carrying Jiang Wan away amidst the pointing and gossip of countless people around. Afterwards, when Jiang Wan sobered up and learned what Li Ziheng had done, instead of being grateful, she scolded him severely. In her words, Li Ziheng made her lose face in their social circle. Now that I think about it, it seems that party was hosted by Yunhai International Trade. Anya paused and then said, "At that time, I didn't know your identity, sir, but out of curiosity, I had someone investigate you. Honestly, I envy the young madam. If there could be a man in this world who treats me the way the young master treats his wife, how happy that would be." Saying this, a bitter smile flickered across Anya's lips. She hadn't believed there were perfect men in the world before, but after investigating Li Ziheng, she came to believe it and at the same time felt a pang of sadness. The reason for her sadness was that that good man was someone else's husband, not hers. Composing herself, Anya smiled again and continued. At first, I thought the headquarters assigned me to look after the young lady's company because she had some special connection with them. I never expected it was because of you, young master. She didn't finish the sentence. Because of the investigation, she had become curious and started paying attention to Li Ziheng. She had learned quite a bit about the 5 years from Li Ziheng and Jiang Wan's courtship to marriage. Li Ziheng wasn't a local, yet he had 3 million in savings. When he was dating Jiang Wan, the Jiang family happened to have a liquidity problem and urgently needed 3 million to tide them over. For the sake of the 3 million in Li Ziheng's bank account, the Jiang family decisively accepted him. After some time, Li Ziheng gave everything he had and used that 3 million as a bride price to marry Jiang Wan. But the Jiang family deliberately suppressed this news. At that time, the Jiang family's company was only worth a little over 10 million, a tiny, insignificant company in Anya's eyes. However, with the 3 million betrothal gift from Li Ziheng, the Jiang family managed to tide over the crisis and even expanded considerably as a result. Right after Li Ziheng married Jiang Wan, Anya received orders from headquarters to secretly support the Jiang family's company, a practice that continued until now. Now, thanks to Yunhai's covert assistance, the Jiang family enterprise has grown 100 times in market value, reaching 1 billion. Wife, huh? Li Ziheng gave a self-deprecating smile and said softly, "She won't be for long." Hearing this, a flicker of surprise crossed Anya's beautiful eyes as she tentatively asked, "Young master, have you and the young madam had a falling out?" "Not exactly a falling out. More like I've been accommodating too much, and I've grown tired of it. I don't want to keep accommodating anymore." Li Ziheng smiled, but there was a hint of bitterness in his smile that he couldn't hide. Upon hearing this, Anya sighed softly and said sincerely, "Young master, you are a good man. The young madam is too willful and doesn't know how to treasure you. She will definitely regret this, she will. Don't comfort me. I'm fine. Oh, by the way, can you help me draft a divorce agreement? Of course, it's convenient. I just don't know what requests you have, young master." The car entered an intersection. Because the light was red, Anya stopped the car. Li Ziheng thought for a moment. "No other requests. As long as I can get divorced, that's enough." Li Ziheng didn't care about Jiang Wan's assets. Because early on, when he married Jiang Wan, her parents, on the grounds that Li Ziheng must give their daughter a sense of security, transferred all of Jiang Wan's assets to their own names under reasonable pretexts. In their words, as long as they did this, even if later Li Ziheng changed his heart and divorced, their daughter's later years wouldn't be without security and a way out. Li Ziheng gladly accepted his in-law's proposal because he never thought he would change his heart, let alone think he would divorce Jiang Wan. However, fantasy was beautiful, but reality was cruel. He didn't want to continue anymore. He wanted to divorce Jiang Wan and end this unfortunate marriage. Then that's simple. I can draft it today. Anya nodded. Silence fell in the car. When the light turned green, Anya stepped on the accelerator and suddenly asked softly, "Young Master Ziheng, perhaps you don't know, but the Jiang Corporation has never been the most suitable partner for our company. The reason I initially cooperated with the Jiangs was all due to higher-ups orders. If the young master really divorces the young lady, can the cooperation be terminated? After all, cooperating with the Jiangs is essentially causing us losses in disguise. Also, the actual annual salary of the Jiang's chief pharmaceutical R&D engineer is 5.5 million, but the Jiangs only pay her 500,000 a year. The remaining 5 million is funded by our company. If possible, I want that R&D engineer to come back. The value she can create is enormous, and our company needs her." Li Ziheng did not respond. He turned his head to look out the window. Perhaps it was because he had given up and was gradually relaxing, intending to completely end this painful marriage. Or perhaps because he hadn't slept all night. Li Ziheng drifted off to sleep without realizing it. He slept very deeply. He had no dreams. In this past month, he had dreamed almost every night, and Jiang Wan was always in those dreams. Every dream was oppressive, painful, suffocating. But today, when he decided to leave Jiangwan, the nightmare seemed to disappear along with it. When he woke up, it was already past 4 in the afternoon. Li Ziheng opened his eyes and found himself still in the passenger seat of the Ferrari, except the seat had been reclined. A black blazer was draped over him, and the temperature inside the car was just right, neither too hot nor too cold, very comfortable. Turning his head, he saw Anya holding a laptop, gently tapping the keyboard, seemingly focused on work. Li Ziheng adjusted the seat. Hearing the movement, Anya turned to look at him. Her eyes lit up as she turned the laptop screen toward Li Ziheng. "Young Master Ziheng, you're awake. This is the divorce agreement I drafted. Please take a look and see if there's anything that needs to be changed." Li Ziheng glanced over it briefly and was about to speak when he suddenly noticed the phone on the armrest of the left seat. The screen had just lit up. That phone seemed to be his. But Li Ziheng clearly remembered that he hadn't set it to silent mode. The phone screen flashed with an incoming call reminder labeled wife. And he also saw it and considerately got out of the car. Li Ziheng picked up his phone and pressed the answer button. "Li Ziheng, what you did this morning was too much. If you want me to forgive you, then come to the company right now and sincerely apologize to Cheng Hao." Jiang Wan's voice, full of complaint and reproach, came through the phone's earpiece. Li Ziheng had been in a much better mood, but when he heard Jiang Wan's words, his heart ached again. At this moment, the suppressed emotions completely erupted. Li Ziheng was so angry that he laughed instead. "Apologize? Are you sure you want me to apologize?" "Of course. You did something wrong and wronged Cheng Hao. Shouldn't you apologize?" Jiang Wan said with righteous indignation. Seeming to sense that Li Ziheng's tone was off, her voice suddenly softened considerably. As if coaxing a child or acting spoiled, she spoke again. "Honey, be good, okay? As long as you apologize, I'll agree to whatever you say." In the past, whenever Jiang Wan made a mistake that angered Li Ziheng, she would act spoiled like this. And every time, Li Ziheng would forgive her. Even when Jiang Wan clearly did something excessive, he would still choose to forgive her out of soft-heartedness. Li Ziheng said mockingly, "Really anything?" "Yes, anything." Jiang Wan answered very directly, even without hesitation. Li Ziheng asked, somewhat unwilling to give up. "Then what if I said to fire Cheng Hao and never see him again?" "That can't be. Pick another one. Aside from that, I'll agree to anything else." Jiang Wan's answer was still direct, still without hesitation. But because of her lack of hesitation, the last shred of hope in Li Ziheng was completely shattered. "Fine. Remember what you said aside from this. You agree to everything else." Li Ziheng hung up the phone. He no longer wanted to hear Jiang Wan's voice. Anya opened the car door and got in. Just now, outside the car, although she couldn't hear what Li Ziheng and Jiang Wan had said, from Li Ziheng's expression, she knew he was in a very bad mood. As she was pondering how to comfort a poor man about to be divorced, she suddenly heard Li Ziheng speak. "First, print out the divorce agreement, then take me to the Jiang Corporation." 15 minutes later, Anya dropped Li Ziheng off at the entrance of the Jiang Corporation's building. The Jiang Corporation was located in a commercial district on the third ring road of Cloud City. It primarily engaged in pharmaceutical research and sales, and this year had successfully opened up overseas channels, with annual profits being quite substantial. Of course, a large part of its success was due to the covert support from his mother. Otherwise, with the Jiang Corporation's limited capabilities, let alone opening overseas channels, even developing new drugs would have been a problem. A month ago, Li Ziheng frequently visited the Jiang Corporation's office building, so the front desk and most employees recognized him. Li Ziheng made his way straight to Jiang Wan's general manager's office. Before he could knock on the door, he heard Cheng Hao's voice coming from the office, mingled with Jiang Wan's flirtatious laughter. "Knock, knock, knock." Without saying a word, Li Ziheng tightened his grip on the divorce agreement in his hand and knocked on the door expressionlessly. Then he pushed the door open and entered. As soon as he entered, he saw Jiang Wan sitting in the office chair, her left hand propping up her chin, her right hand playing with a fountain pen, looking at Cheng Hao with a curved smile on her lips. The look in her eyes as she gazed at Cheng Hao shimmered with light. It was the kind of look one only has when they like someone, a look Li Ziheng had never seen in the 5 years he had been with Jiang Wan. Cheng Hao sat on the office sofa with his handsome legs crossed, a confident smile on his face, saying something. When they saw Li Ziheng push the door open and enter, both their expressions changed. The smiles vanished, replaced by a strange sense of guilt and embarrassment. Chung Hao put his legs down, pretended to be calm, pulled out his phone, and lowered his head to fiddle with it. Jiang Wan, on the other hand, coughed lightly, sat up straight, and said in a serious tone, "Honey, you're here." As she looked at Li Ziheng, that light in her eyes vanished without a trace. Li Ziheng felt a sharp twinge of pain in his heart. He smiled and cast a glance at Chung Hao. "Sorry, am I interrupting you?" Chung Hao pricked up his ears, seemingly looking down at his phone, but in fact, the phone screen hadn't changed at all. "Honey, what nonsense are you talking about?" Chung Hao had some questions about work, so he came to ask me. That's all. Jiang Wan's gaze wavered as she explained impatiently. Li Ziheng had been married to Jiang Wan for 5 years, so he was especially familiar with her little habits and subtle gestures. Whenever Jiang Wan lied, her eyes would dart away, unable to meet Li Ziheng's gaze. Li Ziheng didn't expose her lie, but asked calmly, "On the phone earlier, you promised that if I apologize to Chung Hao, you'd agree to anything I ask. Does that still count?" "Of course." Jiang Wan's eyes lit up at his words, and she said happily, "This whole thing was your fault to begin with. Chung Hao and I are completely innocent. You misunderstood him and even hit him. Shouldn't you apologize? Also, there's something else you might not know. Chung Hao is very capable. He's the head of the business department that I went to great lengths to hire. Previously, our company's newly developed drugs couldn't break into overseas markets. It was thanks to Chung Hao using his personal connections that we opened up those channels. If it weren't for Chung Hao, it might have taken our company 10 years to enter the international market. But now it's different. We not only have share of the domestic market, but also opened up overseas channels. The future looks promising." When talking about Chung Hao's abilities, Jiang Wan's eyes lit up as if she was proud of Chung Hao. "So, both publicly and privately, you should apologize to Chung Hao, shouldn't you?" After speaking, Jiang Wan stood up, walked over to Li Ziheng, and tried to take his hand. But Li Ziheng skillfully avoided her. Jiang Wan wasn't angry about this. She just thought Li Ziheng was still throwing a tantrum. She didn't care at all, thinking that after they got home, she could comfort and coax Li Ziheng and everything would be fine. After all, in her impression, Li Ziheng had always been a man with a mild temper and easy to coax. Jiang Wan urged, "Honey, you need to apologize to Chung Hao quickly, or else he might resign and leave the company. If he leaves, the company will suffer a huge loss." Li Ziheng gave Jiang Wan a deep look, smiled bitterly, and nodded. "Fine, I apologize." "I'm sorry." Li Ziheng clenched his fist. The words, "I'm sorry," seemed to be forced out through his teeth. Chung Hao looked up with a confused expression. He first glanced at Jiang Wan, then looked at Li Ziheng with a smile. "Were you talking to me?" "Sorry, I was on my phone just now and didn't notice." Crack! Li Ziheng clenched his fist so tightly that the joints let out a crisp popping sound. Jiang Wan's expression changed as she said coquettishly, "Chung Hao, Ziheng just apologized to you. Whether you heard it or not, I did. That's the end of it. You're not allowed to bring it up again, got it?" All right, I heard you. Don't be so fierce, okay? You're scaring me. Anyone would think you're about to eat me." Chung Hao raised his hands in mock surrender, pretending to be frightened. When he said the word, "eat," his tone was noticeably heavier, and out of the corner of his eye, he subtly glanced toward Li Ziheng. He was provoking Li Ziheng. Provoking Li Ziheng right in front of Jiang Wan. Li Ziheng naturally understood, but Jiang Wan seemed unaware. Jiang Wan couldn't help but snort with laughter, giving Chung Hao a sharp glare. This atmosphere was heart-wrenching for Li Ziheng, unbearable. He took a deep breath, turned to Jiang Wan, and said, "I've done what I promised you. Now it's your turn." Seeing the serious look on Li Ziheng's face, Jiang Wan slightly frowned. She gave a helpless, somewhat speechless, bitter smile. Fine, I'm afraid of you. Tell me, what do you want? I'll agree to it all." Upon hearing this, Chung Hao also looked at Li Ziheng curiously, as if wondering what request he would make. "Good." Li Ziheng nodded and handed the divorce agreement in his hand to Jiang Wan. Jiang Wan was puzzled but still reached out to take it. When she saw the words divorce agreement, the expression on her face instantly froze. Her hand holding the divorce agreement went stiff, and she looked at Li Ziheng with disbelief. You want a divorce from me?" Jiang Wan's voice trembled slightly, her eyes fixed on Li Ziheng's, as if searching for something in his gaze. But to her disappointment, Li Ziheng's eyes were perfectly calm. So calm that there wasn't a trace of emotion, as if divorce wasn't something important to him at all. Thud! The divorce agreement in her hand fell to the ground, and Jiang Wan's eyes suddenly reddened. Her chest felt stuffed with cotton, making it hard for her to breathe. She gently bit her lip and asked hesitantly, Li Ziheng, do you really want a divorce with me? Chapter 5. Don't regret this. Li Ziheng nudda. Yes, you promised that if I apologized, you would agree to anything. Now I want you to sign and come with me to the Civil Affairs Bureau next Monday to get the divorce certificate. Hearing Li Ziheng's confirmation, Jiang Wan's face instantly turned pale. She instinctively stepped back 2 steps, as if struggling to accept that Li Ziheng really wanted to divorce her. The atmosphere in the office was somewhat oppressive. After a brief silence, Jiang Wan stared at Li Ziheng with reddened eyes and said, Can you tell me why you want a divorce from me? Because I don't love you anymore. Li Ziheng's tone was calm, as if he were saying something perfectly normal. Since there's no love, there's naturally no need to continue living together, right? Upon hearing this, Jiang Wan laughed. She clenched her fists tightly, her gaze at Li Ziheng filled with anger. She said coldly, Li Ziheng, have you forgotten that it was you who pursued me, you who proposed to me, you who asked me to marry you? We've been married for 5 years. I'm your wife, and now you tell me you don't love me anymore. Li Ziheng, what do you take me for? What do you take our 5 years of marriage for? Are you worthy of me? Are you worthy of our 5 years of feelings? Jiang Wan gritted her teeth, her eyes full of resentment and grievance. Li Ziheng looked at Jiang Wan and smiled softly. In these 5 years, I haven't wronged you. Until yesterday, I still loved you and regarded you as my wife. But Jiang Wan, what do you take me for? What do you take our 5 years of feelings for? As he spoke, Li Ziheng pointed to Cheng Hao beside him and smiled. Tell me who he is and what your relationship with him is. Jiang Wan's gaze flickered as she explained guiltily. He is the head of our company's business department. We are just in a superior-subordinate relationship. So according to you, you're just a simple boss-employee relationship? Li Ziheng snadat mockingly. Jiang Wan was about to nod, but he continued. Yet, because of this relationship, you stood me up 4 times this month. Even yesterday, on our 5th wedding anniversary, you could abandon me for him. The first time, there was a business issue, and as the general manager, you went with him to solve the problem with the client. I can understand that. The second time, he was heartbroken and needed you, his boss, to comfort him. The third time, he lost a game of truth or dare, and you, the general manager, lowered yourself to help him out, even drinking cross-capped wine with him. Need me to explain what cross-capped wine means? The 4th time, yesterday, I invited all our mutual friends as you asked, but you didn't even show up because he was sick. At this point, Li Ziheng felt a sharp pain in his heart. He clutched his chest, his expression wounded. Jiang Wan, tell me, what role are you playing? Are you a relationship expert or a close confidant? Unable to suppress his fury and grievance any longer, Li Ziheng snapped angrily. He's sick, so you go take care of him. Are you a doctor? Well, I'm sick. Damn it. I have to take care of myself. Have you ever looked after me when I was ill? Abandoning your own husband and a group of friends to take care of a subordinate from your company. Jiang Wan, do you think you're smart, or do you think I'm an idiot? Facing Li Ziheng's relentless questioning, Jiang Wan just pursed her lips, her expression somewhat complicated. I can explain all of this. No need. I have absolutely no interest in your so-called explanations. I don't care about a woman who is already emotionally cheated. I think she's tainted. Jiang Wan was stunned, as if she couldn't accept that Li Ziheng would call her tainted. Li Ziheng was firm in his resolve. He crouched down and picked up the divorce agreement from the floor, handing the divorce agreement to Jiang Wan. Sign it. Let's part amicably and not make a scene that leaves everyone embarrassed. Li Ziheng, do you have to push me so hard? Seeing Li Ziheng insist on divorce, Jiang Wan also got a bit angry. Especially Li Ziheng's recent remark about her being dirty hurt her deeply. Li Ziheng's face turned cold. You said it yourself. As long as I apologize, you'll agree to anything. Of course, firing him doesn't count. Jiang Wan gritted her teeth and glared at Li Ziheng. Li Ziheng, I advise you to think clearly. If you divorce me, you won't get a single cent. Li Ziheng laughed. Do you think I'm with you for the money, Jiang Wan? Don't forget how much was in my account before I married you. Jiang Wan was speechless. She seemed to have forgotten that back then, Li Ziheng, in order to be with her, directly transferred $3 million from his card as a betrothal gift to her parents. Li Ziheng didn't want to recall the past. He said coldly, "Take a good look at this divorce agreement. After the divorce, I won't take a single cent. Now, are you satisfied? You can sign it." Li Ziheng's words and attitude made Jiang Wan feel embarrassed, especially in front of Cheng Hao. Seeing her usually gentle husband suddenly so aggressive, Jiang Wan's temper flared. She snatched the divorce agreement and quickly signed her name on it. "Don't you regret this?" Jiang Wan threw the divorce agreement at Li Ziheng, warning him kindly. "Li Ziheng, let me tell you, without you, I, Jiang Wan, will only live better and stand higher. But after you leave me, you'll have nothing." Li Ziheng picked up the divorce agreement calmly, speaking without any emotion. "That's my business. No need for you to worry." Seeing Li Ziheng still indifferent, Jiang Wan grabbed the coffee cup on the table and smashed on the ground at his feet, roaring, "Get out!" Bang! The coffee cup shattered into pieces. Jiang Wan's chest heaved violently, her pretty face flushed with anger. Li Ziheng turned and left the office. After Li Ziheng left, Cheng Hao immediately came over and gently comforted her. "Waner, don't be angry. It's not worth ruining your health over a man who has changed. By the way, I contacted a friend who runs a chain of pharmacies overseas. I told him about the new drug your company developed. He's very interested. If all goes well, and I put in a bit more effort, I should be able to secure at least a 20 million annual order." Jiang Wan tried to calm herself, then turned to Cheng Hao with a gentle smile. "Cheng Hao, thank you. Since you came, the company's performance has been booming. I've already told my father about this. By the end of the year, your commission won't be short by a single cent. In addition, I'll also apply for some extra bonuses for you." Cheng Hao waved his hand and smiled dismissively. "Waner, you know I'm not doing this for money. I just want to help you. Although I haven't been in the country these past few years, I've heard about your situation from friends around me. You've worked hard these 5 years. From now on, I'll help you. I won't let you bear such a heavy burden alone." Seeing Cheng Hao's passionate gaze, Jiang Wan's heart trembled. She didn't respond. Avoiding his gaze, Jiang Wan casually picked up a document from the desk and began flipping through it. But her heart simply couldn't calm down. In her mind, she kept replaying every moment of the past 5 years with Li Ziheng. How could he bear to divorce me? Knock, knock, knock. Just then, a knock came at the door. Jiang Wan's heart leaped with joy. She thought it was Li Ziheng regretting his decision and coming back to apologize. But when she saw that the person pushing the door open was the head of the business department, a clear look of disappointment flashed across Jiang Wan's face. The business manager's expression was somewhat grave. "General Manager, Yinhai International Trade Company has canceled its cooperation with our company. This means our overseas channels are cut off." "What?" Hearing this news, Jiang Wan was instantly shocked and turned pale. Yinhai International Trade Company was the Jiang family's biggest partner. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that 60% of the Jiang family's income came from Yinhai International Trade. How could this happen? What did the person in charge at Yinhai say? Why are they canceling the cooperation? Is there a problem with the partnership? Jiang Wan panicked. Yinhai could do without the Jiang family, but the Jiang family could not do without Yinhai. The business department manager replied. The explanation given was that the Jiang family no longer met the qualifications to cooperate with Yinhai. They had cooperated before because of a certain person, but now that person had nothing to do with the Jiang family anymore. How could this be? Jiang Wan was stunned. That person? Who was that person? She had just signed the divorce agreement with Li Ziheng, and now Yinhai had canceled the cooperation. Could it be that the person Yinhai was referring to was Li Ziheng? Once this thought emerged, Jiang Wan immediately dismissed it. No, that's impossible. Li Ziheng has no connection with Yinhai. Why would Yinhai cancel the cooperation just because I divorced Li Ziheng? Thinking this way, Jiang Wan couldn't help but speculate. Guess who that person Yinhai valued so much could be? Just then, the HR manager also came looking for her. General Manager, something terrible has happened. The chief engineer of the drug R&D department has submitted her resignation. The HR manager explained anxiously. There are still some flaws in our company's new drug, and we've only halfway through the in-depth research and optimization project. If we lose her, that project can't continue. With 2 pieces of bad news coming one after another, Jiang Wan was completely stunned. Since she took the position of general manager at Jiangshi, everything had been smooth sailing. Never before had she encountered such a situation. Her mind was blank. For a moment, she was at a loss. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw Cheng Hao still sitting on the sofa in her office. Jiang Wan's eyes lit up, and she asked in a hopeful tone, "Cheng Hao, do you have any suggestions? You have such a wide network and so many connections. You must have a way to help me, right?" When Cheng Hao heard these two pieces of news, he was also shocked and looked incredulous. Without the cooperation with Yanhai, Jiangshi would at most lose a large portion of its profits. But if they lose that skilled pharmaceutical R&D engineer, then Jiangshi would lose its core competitiveness in the pharmaceutical industry. For a company that has lost its core competitiveness, wanting to grow is nothing short of a pipe dream. But facing Jiang Wan's pleading and expectant eyes, Cheng Hao couldn't bring himself to say he had no solution. So, pretending to be calm and thoughtful, Cheng Hao frowned and said, "Warner, don't rush. These two things are too sudden. I need to digest them carefully. But rest assured, I will definitely help you find a way." Cheng Hao said this, but in his heart he thought, "I just said I would help you find a way, but I didn't guarantee I could solve the problem. If it really can't be solved, you can't blame me. I believe in your ability. After all, you have such a wide network, you can definitely find a partner to replace Yanhai." Jiang Wan's tense mood eased a little. As for the pharmaceutical R&D engineer who was about to resign, she decided to go meet him in person and have a good talk. Resigning, it's nothing more than dissatisfaction with salary or other reasons. As long as the other party raises it, she could agree and solve it. Thinking this way, Jiang Wan gradually calmed down. After sending the two department managers away, Jiang Wan immediately went to find the chief engineer of the R&D department who was about to resign, and arranged to meet him for a talk at the coffee shop downstairs from the company. Coffee shop by the window. Jiang Wan looked at the woman sitting across from her, who was in her early 30s with a neat short haircut and wearing glasses, a smile on her face. "Sister Sue, I heard you submitted your resignation this afternoon. May I ask if you're leaving because you're not satisfied with the company's compensation, or is there another reason?" Sister Sue, whose full name is Sue E., graduated with a master's degree from a foreign medical university and earned numerous awards and scholarships during her studies abroad. After graduating from university, she resolutely returned to China. She then submitted her resume to Jiang Corporation and has been with the company for 5 years now. It can be said that Jiang Corporation was the first company Sister Sue joined. She is a veteran and a key contributor to the company. In Jiang Wan's view, having stayed at Jiang Corporation for 5 years, Sister Sue must have developed some attachment to the company. Setting aside the reason for her resignation, as long as Jiang Wan sincerely tried to persuade her, played on their emotional connection, and offered a salary increase, Sister Sue would likely choose to stay. "General Manager Jiang, I know why you call me here, but I can tell you clearly that my resignation was a decision made after careful consideration." Sister Sue picked up her coffee, took a small sip, and smiled with a look of confidence. This reply instantly made Jiang Wan's heart sink, but she still wouldn't give up and pressed on. "Can you tell me the specific reason?" Su Jie smiled. "General Manager Jiang, are you asking me this question as the company's general manager or as a regular friend? Is there a difference?" Jiang Wan was puzzled. "Of course there is." Su Jie put down her coffee cup, staring calmly at Jiang Wan. "If you're asking as the general manager of the previous company, I would tell you, no comment. But if you're asking as a regular friend, I would tell you that I never truly belonged to the Jiang Group. As for why I joined the Jiang Group, you should ask the most important person by your side." Su Jie's words left Jiang Wan completely bewildered. She joined the Jiang Group, but didn't belong to it? The answer to this question lay with the most important person by her side, Cheng Hao. Did Su Jie join the Jiang Group because of Cheng Hao? But if that's the case, then why is she resigning? Could it be that Cheng Hao had a falling out with her? With this thought, Jiang Wan decided to talk to Cheng Hao later to ask what he had done to Sister Sue that led her to submit her resignation. "Miss Jiang, I have to head to my new company for a check-in soon, so I won't stay long. As a thank you for the coffee, I can offer you one piece of advice. Cherish the person in front of you, and don't wait until you lose them to regret it. That's all I have to say. Goodbye, Miss Jiang." After saying this, Sister Sue picked up her bag and stood up to leave. In total, Sister Sue had stayed for less than 5 minutes. Jiang Wan wasn't foolish. She knew Sister Sue had taken time out of her schedule to meet her, but she just couldn't understand. She couldn't understand the relationship between Sister Sue and Cheng Hao. And even more, she couldn't understand why Sister Sue would remind her to cherish Cheng Hao. Could it be that Cheng Hao was about to leave her? Impossible. He had clearly said today that he would always help her from now on. Why would he suddenly choose to leave her for no reason? Filled with confusion and doubt, Jiang Wan dialed Cheng Hao's number. Chen Hao, I'm at the coffee shop downstairs from the company. I want to talk to you about Sister Sue's resignation. Warner, I'm sorry. Something came up at home. I might need to take leave and go back. Can we talk about it after I get back? Is it that urgent? When are you leaving? I'll drive you. No need. No need. I'm already on my way to the airport. Don't worry about me. I can take care of myself. Gotta go, my mom's calling. Bye. Beep, beep, beep. The call ended. Jiang Wan's mood turned heavy as well. She sat alone in the coffee shop for a while before getting up and driving home. As soon as she got home, she heard a rustling sound coming from the bedroom. Curious, Jiang Wan opened the bedroom door and saw Li Ziheng squatting on the floor, neatly placing her folded clothes one by one into a suitcase. Seeing Li Ziheng, Jiang Wan, who was already feeling down, became even more irritable. With a stern face, she asked in a cold tone, "Where are you going so late at night? We're already divorced. It's not appropriate to live together anymore. I'll move out tonight." Li Ziheng didn't even look back and continued with his own business. Hearing this, Jiang Wan became even more furious. With such a big problem in the company, her so-called husband couldn't help at all and was just messing with her emotions. First, he wanted a divorce, and now he's running away from home. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. Jiang Wan stopped blocking him and said coldly, "Fine, then pack your things quickly and get out of my house. Oh, and remember to leave the keys when you go. I don't want irrelevant people coming into my house." After saying that, Jiang Wan turned around and walked out of the room. Bang! The door was slammed shut, leaving only Li Ziheng squatting on the floor, packing his suitcase. Li Ziheng smiled bitterly and continued packing with his head down. Since he had a lot of things, it took nearly half an hour to finish packing. Dragging his heavy suitcase, Li Ziheng walked out of the room. As soon as he stepped out, he saw Jiang Wan sitting alone in the living room, drinking her sorrows away. Hearing the noise behind her, Jiang Wan glanced back and then turned her head away. Her cheeks were slightly flushed, clearly having drunk quite a bit. "The keys are here. Take care." Placing the keys on a coffee table in the living room, Li Ziheng didn't look back, dragging his suitcase and preparing to leave. Cough, cough, cough. Just as Li Ziheng reached for the doorknob, Jiang Wan's violent coughing came from behind. Li Ziheng paused, instinctively wanting to look back at Jiang Wan, but he held himself back. Click! The doorknob turned, and Li Ziheng had already stepped 1 foot out. "Li Ziheng." Jiang Wan's voice suddenly rang out. Then came a rush of hurried footsteps. Before Li Ziheng could turn around, a soft touch suddenly came from his back, along with the warmth of Jiang Wan's body temperature. "Please don't leave me, okay?" Jiang Wan hugged him from behind, her voice no longer as strong and sharp as before. Li Ziheng let out a soft sigh. "Jiang Wan, there's no future for us anymore. Let go, and let's both keep some dignity." Jiang Wan spoke in a hoarse voice, tinged with tears. "You said you would treat me well for a lifetime. You can't break your promise. You can't." Li Ziheng felt a pang in his heart. He forcefully pried open Jiang Wan's hands that were wrapped around his waist. Turning his head, he lowered his gaze to look at Jiang Wan. "I did say that, but you were the one who betrayed me first." Jiang Wan explained, "I didn't. Even though I brought Cheng Hao into the company, nothing happened between us." "Nothing happened?" Li Ziheng laughed. He thought of the photos Cheng Hao had sent him. Maybe Cheng Hao did it on purpose. Maybe nothing had really happened between them yet. But given the current trend, wouldn't it be just a matter of time before something did? Did he really have to wait until his wife cuckolded him before getting a divorce? Jiang Wan's emotional cheating was still cheating, just as unacceptable as physical cheating. Both crossed the line and were unforgivable. Li Ziheng's voice was calm. Jiang Wan insisted stubbornly. "No, it's different. In my heart, I love you." Li Zicheng said, "No, you don't love me. If you did, you wouldn't knowingly ignore my feelings even though you knew I would mind. Why don't you believe me? I told you there's nothing between Cheng Hao and me. Why wouldn't you just trust me? Why do you want a divorce? You know I can't live without you." Jiang Wan cried. Her eyes were red, and tears uncontrollably slid down the corners of her eyes. "Jiang Wan, even now you still want to deceive me? He is your ex, your unattainable moon that you pined for. He has always been in your heart." Looking at Jiang Wan's tear-reddened eyes, Li Zicheng felt no sympathy, only anger. I already know everything about you and him. Have you ever thought about why he came back? Why did he come back only after your company developed well? Looking at this woman he once loved to the bone, Li Zicheng couldn't stand by and do nothing after all. He decided to tell Jiangwan the truth, to tell her the purpose of Cheng Hao's return. But before he could speak, Jiangwan's expression suddenly changed. Jiangwan stopped crying, but her face turned extremely ugly. You already know? Who told you? Are these important? Li Zicheng frowned. Of course they're important, because the person who told you wants to create conflict between us. She wants us to get divorced. Jiangwan clenched her teeth, a look of hatred flashing in her eyes. Tell me, who told you all this? Li Ziheng roared. Enough. Jiangwan was stunned. She stared blankly at Li Ziheng, and for a moment, there was an unusual silence. Jiangwan, before today, I was your husband. Do you think it was appropriate to hide these things from me? Now that someone else has told me, you don't feel any remorse or guilt instead. You think that person shouldn't have told me. Jiangwan, what are you thinking? Why have your values become so twisted? Do you now feel so unfamiliar? You are no longer the soft-hearted girl who used to cling to me. We are over. I have let go of your matters and don't want to pursue them anymore. Li Ziheng's tone was ice cold, determined to end things with Jiangwan completely. Jiangwan shook her head frantically, trying to explain. No, honey, listen to me. I only asked Cheng Hao back to make him angry, to get revenge on him for leaving me back then. Later, I didn't expect he had connections and resources, so I wanted to use him, just use him. Li Ziheng couldn't listen anymore and interrupted directly. What does that have to do with me? This is between you and him. Since you want revenge, go ahead. Since you want to use him, please continue. But don't drag me into it. I find that dirty relationship between you too disgusting. After saying this, Li Ziheng dragged his suitcase and walked away quickly without looking back. Li Ziheng, I've told you everything. Why are you still leaving me? I said you're the only one in my heart. Why don't you believe me? Why? Jiangwan shouted helplessly. Watching Li Ziheng's resolute back as he left, she slumped weakly to the ground and began to sob quietly. Dragging his suitcase, Li Ziheng stood at the entrance of the neighborhood. Soon, a red sports car stopped in front of him. The driver was Anya. Before leaving, Li Ziheng had already contacted Anya and asked her to arrange for someone to pick him up. Master Ziheng, is this considered overtime at this hour? Anya got out of the car and proactively helped open the trunk. As she spoke, she gave Li Ziheng a teasing smile. Li Ziheng smiled. It doesn't count. I asked you to send someone, but I didn't say you had to come yourself. You volunteered. Anya pouted and pretended to be pitiful. TSK, as expected, capitalists have black hearts. All they know is to exploit us poor workers. Looking at the pitiful act Anya was putting on, Li Ziheng said with a smile, if you're pitiful, then there's no poor soul left in this world. The two got into the car one after the other. Before long, the car stopped in front of Villa. Anya opened the trunk, intending to help Li Ziheng lift the suitcase out, but because it was too heavy, she struggled for a while and couldn't budge it. Li Ziheng watched quietly, a slight curve on his lips. What are you laughing at? Anya's face flushed, and she glared at Li Ziheng with embarrassment, complaining. Did you pack rocks in the suitcase? It's so heavy. Li Ziheng stepped forward and lifted the suitcase down with one hand. Pulling out the handle, Li Ziheng smiled. All right, it's getting late. You should head back now. Remember to send me a message when you get home to let me know you're safe. Oh, Anya nodded obediently and silently pulled out her phone. Li Ziheng turned and walked toward the villa's gate. As he unlocked the door with his key, his phone suddenly beeped. Curiously, he took out his phone and saw that Anya had sent him a message. Young master, I'm home. After reading the message, Li Ziheng was stunned for a moment. He turned around and saw Anya walking toward him. Li Ziheng looked confused. What are you? Anya gave a playful smile. Reporting, young master, I live here too. You live here? Li Ziheng seemed not to have caught on. Anya walked around him, pushed open the gate, and skillfully changed in a house slippers printed with white rabbits. She turned around, her smile as bright as a flower. Young master, what are you standing there for? Hurry up and come in. Didn't I ask you to rent a villa for me? You. Li Ziheng stood at the doorway, frowning slightly. Anya blinked. Yes, I'm renting my villa to you. Is there a problem? Or do you find me annoying? It's not appropriate for a man and a woman to live alone together. What's inappropriate? You pay the rent, I provide the villa. It's just a fair exchange. Anya wore an expression of complete indifference. Seeing that Li Ziheng hadn't moved, she urged him, "Oh, don't just stand there. Come on in. I made dinner. If you don't eat soon, it'll get cold." Upon hearing this, Li Ziheng thought for a moment and then went inside. After entering the house, Anya led Li Ziheng to the guest bedroom on the second floor to put down his luggage. "All right, wash your hands and come eat." Anya went downstairs with a cheerful expression. On the table were 3 dishes and a soup, 2 meat dishes, 1 vegetable dish, and a bowl of cucumber egg drop soup. Not extravagant, but not bad either. Anya went to the kitchen to serve 2 bowls of rice and brought out 2 sets of chopsticks and bowls. "I've been practicing my cooking. Come on, give it a try." Seeing Anya's expectant look, Li Ziheng nodded slightly, picked up his chopsticks, grabbed a piece of meat, and put it in his mouth. He chewed carefully and swallowed. "Just okay." Anya was clearly a bit dissatisfied with this comment. Quite demanding. She snorted in dissatisfaction, and so the two began to eat. During the meal, Li Ziheng still brought up renting a new villa the next day and explained the reason. Mainly because if people found out that he, a man, was living with Anya, he was afraid it would cause a bad impression. Of course, the impression wasn't for him, but for Anya. Anya was a celebrity in Cloud City. Many people paid attention to her. If it got out that Anya was living with him, who knows what nasty rumors would start. Rumors are rumors. This just saves people from falsely claiming I like women. Anya was non-committal. She even looked a little expectant. This answer and reaction made Li Ziheng feel a bit helpless. Since Anya herself didn't mind, it seemed he didn't need to mind either. Li Ziheng thought for a moment and suddenly said, "Since it's sharing rent, what about the rent? Rent is based on market price, but it's the price for a whole unit. A great beauty like me is living with you. It's a feast for the eyes every day. You're not thinking of bargaining, are you?" Anya immediately interrupted Li Ziheng and continued, "Besides, I cook occasionally, and you can save a lot on food costs." Li Ziheng. No words were exchanged that night. The next day, Li Ziheng got up early and prepared breakfast. As he was eating, he heard footsteps in the hallway. Soon, he heard Anya's surprised voice. Young master, you can cook too?" Li Ziheng looked up at Anya and said irritably, "Stop talking nonsense. Look at the time. Hurry up and eat. Then take me to the company." "As you command." Anya giggled, quickly walked over, pulled out a chair, sat down, and started eating. Young master, how are you such a good cook?" Anya's cheeks were bulging, and her bright black and white eyes sparkled with surprise. "I've practiced cooking." Li Ziheng threw Anya's words from last night back at her verbatim. Anya's pretty face flushed with a hint of embarrassment. Their cooking skills were incomparable. Anya's food was merely edible, but definitely not tasty. And it didn't look very appealing either. But Li Ziheng's dishes were not only good-looking, but also delicious. Comparison is the thief of joy. Anya felt offended. Half an hour later, the two arrived at Yunhai International Trade. Today was Li Ziheng's first day taking over the company, so he had specially changed into a black suit. "Good morning, President," and "Good morning, President." And before entering the elevator, people kept greeting Anya. During this time, everyone's eyes curiously glanced at Li Ziheng beside Anya. After the two entered the elevator, the employees who had greeted Anya began gossiping in the company group chat. "What's going on? Why did President and bring a handsome guy to the company?" "A handsome guy? No way. Who doesn't know President and's sexual orientation isn't normal? I'm telling you, I saw it with my own eyes." "I saw it too. And I have to say, President and his good taste or boyfriend is really handsome. Is your boyfriend real or fake? This is huge news. It should be true. Didn't you see President and walking into the company smiling today? Damn, the Ice Queen can smile too. Any photos? Let me see. Get lost, you little eunuch. Go play somewhere else." The company group chat exploded like a pot. But the people involved, Anya and Li Ziheng, had no idea. Taking the private elevator to the CEO's office, Anya poured a cup of coffee for Li Ziheng. "Young master, I've prepared detailed company files on the computer. Please take a look first. After you finish, I'll call a high-level meeting around 11 to announce your identity. No rush for the meeting. Let me read the materials first." Li Ziheng nodded slightly. He sat in the CEO's chair and clicked on a folder on the desktop. But what came into view was a bunch of handsome anime guys. Not that document. Don't click randomly." And you caught it out of the corner of her eye, rushed over, grabbed the mouse, and closed the folder. Then she clicked on another folder on the desktop and maximized it. These are all company documents, including the development direction for recent years, product information, and senior management personnel files. And you blushed and patiently introduced. Okay, thank you for your trouble. Ziheng felt a bit awkward and focused on the documents. Time ticked by, minute by minute. During that time, a secretary knocked and came in to report on work. However, it was all conducted in the office's lounge area. Before leaving, the secretary secretly glanced at Ziheng, who was sitting in the CEO's work area with a strange look. And he did not explain, but pretended not to notice. A minute later, the company's group chat exploded once again. At the same time, Ziheng Corporation was holding an emergency meeting for senior executives. As the chairman of the company, Zhang Haixing also made a rare appearance at the meeting. Regarding the two matters of Yunhai canceling the collaboration and the chief pharmaceutical R&D engineer resigning, does anyone have anything to say? Zhang Haixing's face was gloomy. With Yunhai canceling the collaboration, Zhang Corporation effectively lost half of its business. The resignation of the chief pharmaceutical R&D engineer further directly cut the deep optimization project of the drug in half. These two incidents were undoubtedly a huge blow to the Zhang family. The company executives below all had their heads down, not knowing what to say. They only learned about this last night and hadn't even figured out the reason yet. Seeing that none of the management spoke, Zhang Haixing frowned and then looked at Jiang Wan on his lower right. General Manager Jiang, at the beginning of the year, I handed over full control of the company to you. You tell me what's going on. Dad Jiang, Wan was about to start explaining. Zhang Haixing said coldly, "This is the company. You should call me chairman." "Yes, chairman." Jiang Wan bit her lip lightly and explained, "Yunhai canceling the partnership isn't our fault. As for Su Jie's resignation." Dong, dong, dong. Zhang Haixing furrowed his brows and tapped the table with his fingers, unhurriedly. In the huge meeting room, everyone remained silent. After a long while, Zhang Haixing said in a deep voice, "Regarding that person Yunhai mentioned, who do you think it is?" "I think it's Cheng Hao." Jiang Wan replied without thinking. Cheng Hao has a wide network. The reason the overseas channels were able to be opened before was also thanks to Cheng Hao. However, before Jiang Wan could finish speaking, Zhang Haixing directly denied it. "It can't be him. Cheng Hao has only been at the company for less than a month, but the cooperation with Yunhai started 5 years ago. At that time, Yunhai didn't even know who Cheng Hao was." After a pause, Zhang Haixing added, "Besides, who does Cheng Hao think he is? Why would Yunhai give him face? If not him, then who?" Jiang Wan was stunned. When she first learned the news, the person who subconsciously came to her mind was Cheng Hao. But hearing her father say this, she also realized, that's right. Cheng Hao has only been at the company for a month, but the cooperation with Yunhai started 5 years ago. What does that have to do with Cheng Hao? But if not Cheng Hao, then who could it be? 5 years ago, she and Ziheng also got together 5 years ago. Could it be? Jiang Wan's eyes trembled, her gaze full of disbelief. This meeting lasted over an hour. But the results of the meeting were unsatisfactory. Neither of the two important issues was resolved. For this reason, Chairman Zhang Haixing flew into a rage in the conference room, scolding all department heads. Chairman's office. Zhang Haixing sat in his executive chair, his face dark with lingering anger. "I only delegated authority to you less than a year ago, and you've already caused such a huge problem. Do you deserve my trust?" "Dad, neither of these issues is my fault. What could I do if Yunhai wants to cancel their cooperation and sister Su wants to resign?" Jiang Wan stood in front of the desk, her head lowered, looking aggrieved. Zhang Haixing wanted to lose his temper again, but seeing his daughter Jiang Wan's pitiful expression, he couldn't bear to. "The company is ours. The senior executives might not care, but we have to. Once we lose Yunhai's cooperation, the company is bound to decline. Second, Su Yi's resignation will directly affect the quality of the company's drugs and subsequent projects. Both issues must be resolved." Zhang Haixing took a deep breath, pondered for a moment, and said in a deep voice, "Go to Yunhai yourself. Try to negotiate again. Even if you can't win them back, at least find out who that person they mentioned is. Also, you need to contact Sister Su again. At all costs, make sure she sees the drug optimization project through to the end. Even if it's treated as freelance work, let her name a price. As long as it's within our means, meet her demands." Jiang Wan nodded. After a pause, Jiang Haixing added. Put some pressure on the business department. Since the Yunhai partnership is lost, we must bring in new business and salvage what we can, bit by bit. By the way, why didn't I see the head of the business department at today's meeting? Why didn't he show up for such an important meeting? Hearing this, Jiang Wan quickly explained. Cheng Hao had some family issues and went back yesterday. Jiang Haixing frowned. Cheng Hao has only been with the company for a month. How did he become the business department manager? He looked at Jiang Wan, who averted her eyes. Jiang Haixing suppressed his anger and asked, did he go through the proper process and request leave? Not yet. Jiang Wan shook her head. Ridiculous. Jiang Haixing slammed the table, clearly displeased. Jiang Wan, what have you been doing recently? You're not still harboring feelings for that Cheng Hao, are you? Don't forget, you're already married. Are you being fair to Li Ziheng by acting this way? If it weren't for the 3 million betrothal gift from Li Ziheng, the company would have gone bankrupt long ago and wouldn't be where it is today. Even though Li Ziheng is also a deadbeat, compared to Cheng Hao, he at least helps the family somewhat. And Cheng Hao, does he help this family or the company in any way? Jiang Wan's expression shifted, and she quickly shook her head. Dad, I don't. You better not. I see clearly what kind of person Cheng Hao is. He won't lift a finger without personal gain. He's incompetent, and he loves to talk big. I never thought highly of him when you were together. Besides, back then you insisted so much, but he still abandoned you to go study abroad. I thought that after 5 years abroad, he would at least have improved, but the first thing he did when he returned was come to our company. What does that prove? It proves he's still the same useless loser as before. When talking about Cheng Hao, Jiang Haixing's eyes were full of contempt. Dad, Cheng Hao isn't as bad as you think. In his month at the company, he's brought in a lot of business, and even the overseas channels were thanks to him. Jiang Wan argued hard, trying to speak well of Cheng Hao. But Jiang Haixing just laughed. What does the overseas channel have to do with him? Damn nothing. Dad, how can you say that? The overseas channels were all thanks to Cheng Hao. Thanks for what? I went to Yunhai myself and waited over 3 hours at their company to beg for that deal from director. And what does Cheng Hao have to do with it? That's impossible. Cheng Hao clearly said it was him. Jiang Wan looked shocked. Seeing Jiang Wan still defending Cheng Hao, Jiang Haixing became even more furious. You believe whatever he says. I've told you long ago, he's all talk and no ability. Why can't you see that? Jiang Wan panicked and quickly explained. Dad, it's not that I don't believe you. I just never thought Cheng Hao would lie to me. Jiang Haixing waved his hand and said, enough. Cheng Hao's matter isn't important. The priority now is the Yunhai project and the deep optimization of the drugs. You need to go to Yunhai immediately, in person, and be sincere in your attitude. I'll go right now. Jiang Wan nodded and turned to leave the office. At that moment, Jiang Haixing seemed to think of something and added, oh, by the way, it's your mother's birthday today. Bring Li Ziheng home for dinner tonight. Upon hearing this, Jiang Wan's body stiffened for a moment, and she said in a low voice, okay. Back in her general manager's office, Jiang Wan sat in her chair with a dazed look in her eyes. Her father's words just now echoed in her mind like a heavy hammer. The collaboration with Yunhai had nothing to do with Cheng Hao. The overseas channel matters also had nothing to do with Cheng Hao. How could this be? Jiang Wan lowered her head slightly, her emotions extremely complicated. She had always believed that Yunhai's collaboration with Jiang Corporation and the overseas channel matters were all related to Cheng Hao. But upon careful reflection, it seemed Cheng Hao had never explicitly admitted to it. Back then, he had only said some ambiguous words, neither refusing nor confirming. At 11 a.m., in the president's office of Yunhai Company, President Enya sat back at her desk, holding her forehead in frustration. Young master, the headquarters wants you to take over the company directly as the general manager. But now you're telling me you want to start from the bottom. How am I supposed to explain this to the headquarters? Half an hour earlier, Li Ziheng had finished reviewing all the documents and proposed to start from the grassroots business department. Anya tried every refusal and persuasion, but Li Ziheng was firm in his attitude, which gave Anya a big headache. Li Ziheng smiled. Don't worry about headquarters. If they really ask, just say it was my idea. They won't make things difficult for you. Seeing Li Ziheng's resolute attitude, Anya realized she couldn't persuade him, so she asked curiously, can you tell me the reason? I've been a stay-at-home husband for 5 years, and I feel a bit out of touch with society. Secondly, I've never worked in a company before. My understanding of the company is limited to the materials I just read. If I want to manage the company well, I at least need to have a deep understanding of it, right? Li Ziheng's words gained Anya's approval. But starting from the bottom will be tough. She thought Li Ziheng might not be able to persist. After thinking it over, Anya nodded and agreed. You're the young master, you call the shots. But if headquarters blames us, you have to take responsibility. Don't let me take the fall. I've worked hard to get to where I am today. Don't ruin me. Don't worry, Li Ziheng replied with a smile. Anya suggested, all right then, if you want to understand the company and train yourself, go to the business department first. Running business is the best way to train. Fine, inform everyone that I'm reporting to the business department today. Li Ziheng nodded and turned to leave. Just then, the secretary suddenly knocked on the door and entered. President in the front desk said that Jiang Wan, the general manager of Jiang Corporation, wants to see you. Should we agree? Hearing the name Jiang Wan, Anya was slightly stunned. She instinctively glanced at Li Ziheng, who had not yet left the office. The secretary stared at Anya, waiting for her decision. But Anya was staring at Li Ziheng, and so the secretary followed her gaze toward him. Li Ziheng left the office expressionlessly. After a moment of thought, Anya nodded. Let her come up. Yes, President. The secretary left. Before long, Jiang Wan arrived at the floor of the president's office. However, just as she stepped out of the elevator, she saw a figure she hadn't expected. Li Ziheng. Jiang Wan was taken aback. Li Ziheng also saw Jiang Wan, but instead of greeting her, he walked straight into the elevator and pressed the floor button. Miss Jiang, President, and is still waiting for you in the office. The secretary's voice rang out. Okay. Jiang Wan snapped back to reality and followed the secretary to the CEO's office. As the CEO of Yunhai and the renowned goddess of Yunqing, Anya's looks and aura spoke for themselves. Seeing Anya in person, Jiang Wan inexplicably felt a sense of inferiority rise within her. Hello, President. I'm Jiang from the Jiang family. No need for introductions. I know who you are. Before Jiang Wan could finish her self-introduction, Anya interrupted her directly. Just tell me what you need, Miss Jiang. I'm very busy. President, I'm here to discuss the cooperation between Yunhai and the Jiang family. I know the Jiang family's strength is far from meeting Yunhai's cooperation threshold, but we can make concessions just to keep Yunhai working with us. Businessmen chase profits. If we take the initiative to offer better terms, Yunhai should be willing to continue the partnership. This was the most effective solution Jiang Wan could think of. Sorry, Miss Jiang. You might have misunderstood. Yunhai doesn't care about this small amount of profit. If it did, we wouldn't have cooperated with the Jiang family for 5 years. Anya's expression was cold as she continued. If it's about cooperation, Miss Jiang should go to the business department, not come to me, since such small collaborations are usually handled by subordinates. The collaborations I discuss start at a minimum of a small target. I have no interest in anything below that. If there's nothing else, Miss Jiang may leave. With that, Anya looked down and flipped through the documents in her hand. Anya's words made Jiang Wan feel deeply ashamed. The biggest cooperation from the Jiang family couldn't even qualify for discussion in front of Anya and her Yunhai group. This contrast made Jiang Wan feel a burning sensation, as if she had been slapped in the face. Jiang Wan persisted and asked, Mr. In, may I ask a presumptuous question? Since Yunhai looks down on the Jiang family, why did you cooperate with them 5 years ago?